Good evening, everybody. This is Laurren Darr here with Left Paw Press, and I'm with
Brad. Hey.
We're here because we know that we've been teasing people for the past couple of weeks about a project that we've been working on together, and a lot of people have asked us.
We're expecting.
Yes, are we expecting?
Yeah. And we're always expecting something, the lottery winning, whatever else. But we are expecting, and we're very excited about this project that we're going to announce to you. Yeah.
Yeah, so before we get started, let's give a little background on, maybe talk about, this is related to, so people know, children and EDS. And so maybe while I make sure that this is working on Facebook, you can kind of give an overview of like some resources that are out there available to people and or that have children or children with EDS.
So, well, let me just step back even a little bit further, because those of you who know us obviously know that I deal a lot with people related to Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, EDS, and my wife publishes many different books, a lot of children's books. We've had some joint ventures together, but this is probably the first truly joint venture. We have heard a lot of inspirational stories in the past from different people, and we had thought about creating or recreating perhaps some of these stories in sort of a children's book or an inspirational type book. There are some resources out there. Some of the support groups have information to help your child through this. Unfortunately, there are other books starting to come out and other resources starting to come out of how kids can deal with their particular condition. But I do think that there's a lot of people out there sort of wondering, why me? How do I deal with this? And etc. And we wanted to tell one of the inspirational stories of how you can still get your goals, your dreams, despite EDS.
Right, and I have to say that I don't have your brain. Thank goodness, but...
Well, you own everything, so...
But I have gone to conferences, and so I have, I've even befriended people in the industry, and heard a lot of stories about people, and especially, the people with kids, because I think even one conference we took Zachary, I think.
We have taken Zachary.
He's been with it at an EDS conference, and so obviously that attracts other families and kids and things like that. And so over the years, I've heard stories from people about how they've had to deal with their child having EDS or joint hypermobility, and their how the kids do in school. And I've heard from you like a lot of accommodations and things like that have to be made. And so we kind of felt like there was this either, void in the marketplace, or if that there was a story to be told there that we want kids and families to be inspired and I guess I don't think joyful is the right word, but
inspired.
Inspired is probably the right word.
That despite some challenges, you still can meet your goals.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And so that's why we have been collaborating on that. And this is one of those things that you and I have talked about doing for
at least a few years.
Several years, and we've gone down this path many times, but we haven't really had it come to fruition or found the time to be able to make this happen until this year, when finally the sun, moon, and stars finally lined up. So, without further ado, do you want to tell people what it is?
It's a 6-pound, 4-ounce. No. sorry for the teaser. Yes, we were expecting, but anybody knows that I would be the person expecting by the looking at me.
We've had a lot. Why we're joking about that? We've had a lot of people ask us if we're pregnant. When we've been teasing people about announcements, and just know that having our daughter Allie, who's in her 20s now, and having Zachary as a race car driver, future NASCAR star, that fulfills me enough. So I'm more than happy to not be physically pregnant right now. Though any child with you would be, I'm sure, perfect.
No comment.
So I'll let you do the honors.
What we have come up with is a new book. I don't know if more will come out, but like I said, we had several inspirational stories, and this was a good medium between what my wife does and what I do, and kind of bringing this message. It is Bendy, Wendy.
And we're trying to show it here on the screen. It's Bendy, Wendy, and the almost invisible genetic syndrome. And it's I'm kind of proud of the illustrations personally, because I'm the children's book person, and we have this amazing artist that every time we've thrown something at him and said, hey, can you do this or can you do that, he does a fantastic job. The subtitle is A Story of One Tween's Diagnosis of Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome Joint Hypermobility. So I'm trying to put this up here so people can see that. It'll be available on Amazon. This is like one of our proof copies that we finally got, and that's one of the things we were waiting on for the announcement. But you want to talk a little bit about Bendy, Wendy?
So first off, my wife's very correct about the art and stuff like that. Some of her previous books and the art that she's helped direct has won art awards. So we are proud of how it looks. As many of you know, EDS, joint hypermobility syndrome, hypermobility spectrum disorders, it is a bit kind of confused, and you see that this will probably not use the terminology very strictly. It is meant for a lot of people to identify with it and not necessarily talk about EDS if somebody feels like they have just joint hypermobility or some other form. But Bendy Wendy is a typical sort of pre-adolescent, early adolescent young girl who basically has a dream of being a cheerleader. And as she starts to do these activities, she gets hurt more and more. And there are conversations then with doctors. Why is her ankles weak and other things, and at least we say somebody was able to sort of recognize that she is hyperflexible, hypermobile, double jointed, whatever you want to call it, and start talking about EDS or joint hypermobility syndrome, and the fact that you can work with it. You can start to do physical therapy. You can learn how to use your mechanics, your joints differently to help support your body better. And the whole thing is, we weren't discouraging physical activities like cheerleading, but we were encouraging as long as we could help that person do that correctly and safely. And also in there, very typical at this age, for somebody with joint hypermobility is starting getting into that lightheadedness, the dizziness, and etc. So we talk about the hydration part. This is, in my practice and amongst many of you with EDS, a story I think you can identify with, of a young lady trying to either be a cheerleader, dancer, gymnast, or maybe not any of those, but to start to have symptoms and feel like she can't accomplish some of her goals. And this is something that, with the right guidance, we wanted. That's why it was an inspirational story. With the right guidance, you can start to accomplish your goals. And
you're the expert, not me, but we purposefully chose for her to be at the age that she's in, because am I right that in a lot of cases this is when some of those symptoms, like to really, especially if you're doing an activity like this, really start to become prevalent and start showing themselves.
And that's around the pubertal age, and so that's going to be anywhere from 11 to 14-ish, probably middle school for most people. But that's when a lot of people are starting to look at more competitive type activities. And she wanted to be a cheerleader, and in particular a flyer, and to do those things. And I've had several go forward and do many amazing things. Yes, many have had difficulties in accomplishing these goals, but I think as they understood the disorder, as they understood themselves and their body, were able to make adjustments and start to work towards the goals that they wanted.
Mm-hmm. So, do you want me to basically read the description from the back of the book?
That would be fine.
Okay. This is what is written on the back of the book, even though we've kind of given you an overview. This way you'll be able to see, basically what it says on the book. It says, Wendy is a perky, vivacious adolescent entering middle school with a lifelong vision of becoming a cheerleader. Wendy has been called Bendy by family and friends because she's been limber and flexible throughout her life, earning her the nickname Bendy Wendy. As soon as she's about to realize her ultimate aspiration of making the cheerleading squad as a flyer, Wendy worries that her dream will be shattered by constant physical issues plaguing her during rigorous practices and performances. On the outside, Wendy looks perfectly normal, quote unquote, but clearly something more is going on. Join Wendy and her parents on their journey through a diagnosis and revelations of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome / joint hypermobility and almost invisible genetic syndrome. Bendy Wendy and the Almost Invisible Genetic Syndrome, a story of one tween's diagnosis of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome joint hypermobility, was written to fill a need for families, children, and tweens that find themselves in a position of understanding and explaining in basic terms Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and the issues associated with it. It's been thoughtfully developed by bone and connective tissue disorder expert Dr. Brad T. Tinkle and his award-winning children's book author wife, Laurren Darr. For almost a decade, they had dinner-time conversations on how to better serve and reassure children and families affected by Ehlers-Danlos syndrome joint hypermobility. Bendy Wendy and the Almost Invisible Genetic Syndrome, a story of one tween's diagnosis of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome joint hypermobility, is the culmination of that goal. I can read.
Couldn't have said it better.
I can read. But I think that kind of says it in a nutshell. This is something that we've been working on for years. We really felt that there was something out there that needed to be in the marketplace for these folks, and hopefully people like it as much as we do. We're talking about the illustrations. Do we want to show some of the illustrations inside? Okay. All right, let me see here.
We're going to flash you, by the way.
All right, so you'll see, there's Wendy, and that's when she's actually, being seen in the doctor. We were very particular about the illustrations and how this was illustrated, as we mentioned before, and we think that the Nuno is what he goes by, Anthony, and he does such an excellent job. If any of you have seen... what else has he done for us? Zachary's books, yeah. He's shameless plug for Zachary. Zachary Tinkle's Mini Cup Decision and Zachary Tinkle's Mini Cup Rookie of the Year Dream. But he also did Little Baby Bella, the Belly Rub Puck book. And each time he manages to come up with a different style that fits the market and the target that we're going for with each of these. So we're really, really pleased and really happy with what he's done. What else there to say? It's going to be available on Amazon. We're really excited about this. And in the title, some people are probably going to ask, why does it say in the Almost Invisible Genetic Syndrome? Do you want to touch on that?
Most of you who know EDS know that often the joint hypermobility and the issues around EDS are unrecognized, and so many people call it the invisible syndrome. I have some issues with that, mostly because to me it's the fault of the medical professions of not recognizing it. It can be simply asked about. They can be simply looked at fairly quickly in the office to make these assessments. So we call it almost because essentially on the outside nothing looks abnormal, but with just a little bit of information and maneuverings, you can start to discover that somebody is maybe a little extra bendy, as Bendy Wendy was.
All right, awesome. And we've gotten some great comments. Hi, Sherry, how are you doing? We'll give a shout out to Penny and Beth and just say, Jody, your story is exactly the kind of story that we were trying to address with creating this book. And we hope that it's an inspiration and a delight and helpful to anybody out there in the community. And thanks for sharing that inspirational story. That's awesome. It's exactly what we were trying to put out there.
It is available on Amazon, and we hope very soon it will be on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, within the next week. I think there's been a little bit of a glitch, which is also part of the reason that we have been a little bit late in announcing it, but it's technically there, but it'll soon be with the Amazon Prime. I know I'm on Amazon Prime a little more than he'd probably like me to be. But hey, the delivery's free and I don't have to go to anywhere to get anything, so I dig it. Do you have anything else to say?
About that or about the book? No, we just thank you for those who have been interested in what our announcement was, and sorry to sort of prolong this, but we were fairly excited that the book was coming out. As Laurren said, it was been a lot of topics of conversation of different things, and we just sort of decided to do it. As she said, the stars lined up, and we decided to do that. And hopefully there'll be other inspirational writings that we can do.
Yeah, and we're always open to suggestions, by the way. So we can't guarantee we'll get anything done overnight.
From my family, I'm not open to any suggestions by you, because I know what you'll say. So
no family planning. But thank you very much. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We hope you go grab a copy of Bendy Wendy. Enjoy. Please let us know how you like it. And, of course, if you do like it and get it on Amazon, if you'd leave a review. If it's less than a high review, we would like for you to let us know personally, because obviously we want to change that. But we're pretty excited about it, and we hope you are too. Bye, everybody.